The longest video game strike in history just ended, and it might be a preview for what Hollywood's in for next year. Hello, my name is Vaughn-Jones. I'm an actress, writer, and producer, and earlier this month, SAG finally landed on a contract with the Interactive Media Agreement Negotiating Committee after being on strike for nearly a year. Why such a long strike? Well, according to the Wrap, because of AI. SAG didn't feel that the previous version of the contract had enough transparency or protections for performers surrounding the creation of and use of digital replicas. In the end, they were able to establish some rules around AI, requiring written consent from performers in order to use their voice or likeness, the right to revoke that consent, transparency on how digital replicas are used, and establish fee structures for that use. What does this have to do with next year? Well, the length of this strike might be a warning sign. Even though we are all still emotionally and financially recovering from the last set of strikes, the WGA and SAG are both back up for negotiations with the AMPTP next year. If you remember, a key reason for the last set of historic strikes was because of concerns over AI. And while we did secure some protections, most of us agree that it's not enough. The law is taking too long to catch up. And while we do have legislation introduced to help protect artists, current judgments like the Sarah Silverman case indicate that this is going to be a messy, uphill battle. The only way to currently protect ourselves is through our contract. And while I'm aware the Producers Alliance and the IMA are two separate entities, we should still take this as a signal that key power players are still trying to get away with as much as they can when it comes to AI. I believe that this could go one of many ways. One option is that the producers cave early. They're still licking their wounds from the last set of strikes, and data indicates that production in LA is about to go up. They might not be so quick to shut everything down again. On the other hand, they might dig their heels in, having quietly spent the past few years preparing to make films with or without us. Similarly, if the studios are stubborn, the union might decide to hold the line and we could be in for a long haul strike. A lot of people still have not recovered from the pandemic and the strikes, and in a way, that means that there's less to lose. If so many people have already taken to second and third jobs, and in some cases they still haven't landed a media job post-strikes, then they might not be so afraid of striking again. On the other hand, so many people are desperate to avoid another disruption and get rid of those second and third jobs. And desperation is never a great place to approach negotiations from. A key difference between the industries is that the stakes of a Hollywood strike feel higher. The previous IMA had a clause in it that exempted video games that were developed and released prior to the strike. So even though some games were affected, the entire video game industry did not grind to a halt the way it would if Hollywood goes on strike. No matter what happens, we should be prepared. Because of AI, Hollywood and humanity as a whole are in the Wild West. As always, let me know what you think. Is this year-long strike a canary in the coal mine, or do you think it's too early to tell?